to be reimagined together from an extractive age to a new era, our climate justice revival. This is a UUA initiative. We're going to start out with a couple of videos. We have some little egg whites coming out of the oven, and for some reason the regular coffee didn't quite work, so it's being rebrewed, but there's decaf out there, and hot water is coming. So while the videos are running, I would really encourage you to get your food and come on back to the tables. We're going to be doing projects together at the tables, creating a picture of a thriving community, and that's, after a while, and that's similar to what some of us did when we worked on the future of our congregation. So while the video's running, just wait and the coffee and things will come together. So that's it. And then we're going to start with two videos. One is a welcoming video from the UUA, from two leaders, Dr. Sophia Bettencourt, who's the head of the UUA, and Mary Catherine Moore, who is the head of the UU Service Committee. And they're going to explain some of the UU connections. And the second video is from another source, a very exciting and energetic young marine biologist by the name of Dr. Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson. This is a new book, and she spoke in Minnesota at a major environmental organization called Fresh Energy. She did their fundraising breakfast this spring, and we're going to see a little clip from her as well, because it's a similar take, but from a slightly different direction. And those are the two videos. So get yourself some food and find a table with people who'd like to do some work with. Right, full screen I have on here. This is one of the many pieces of artwork. The UUA developed a lot of resources for us to use, only a few of which we're using. This is some of the art that they did for the revival of Love at the Center, because we're talking always about love and justice. And this is a picture of her book. And now we're going to get into that reality climate check.
And this has to be very short and sparse because we want your ideas. This is not the point. The point is not to gloom and doom, and that's what the reality check is. She has an introduction to her book, which I would highly recommend, that really left me with my mouth open. So I wanted to transfer some of it. There's no way I'm going to get the mood across, but let's see if I can operate this.
Is that the UUA book?
No, it's the Dr. Ayanna Johnson.
Try it again, there we go.
Oh, click, okay, great. He told me that earlier, it just didn't stick. Dr. Johnson's book, What If We Get It Right? It's a very new book. I think it came out in November, but it's excellent if you want to be inspired, and we hope that we can transfer some of that to you this week. I put up here a sea turtle because Dr. Johnson got interested at age 5 in the ocean, and that is, following through on that is what got her interested in climate change. And then there's a Jamaican flower bat, because my daughter works for Bat Conservation International now. She just told me the other day she's applying for a grant to study bats and windmills. There's a lot of conflict there. And that's a green dilemma, which is part of what we're facing with this, is that we solve one problem and create another, unfortunately. Now can I do it? So quick facts. Hers is about 3 or 4 or 5 pages long. This will be just very quick. Earth is hotter now than at any time in human history. That's an easy way to say it. It's a terrible way to say it, but you probably heard that this year was the hottest in our country, at least, and that was only beating last year, which had one before that. So there's a graph that I thought showed it very wonderfully. If you go online to get that graph, it goes in animation. It's wonderful, but it's clearly happening. No argument there. I also want to bring it down to our level, because we live near Lake Superior. We're at a very different place where, how can we believe in climate change when it was just below 0 for 72 hours last week? Well, we can. There's some great data that's associated with the climate emergency that was declared. The one that intrigued me was days above 95, 0. Decrease in days below 32, -8. And extending the growing season. If you're a gardener, you know you can grow things like tomatoes, and other things that we couldn't grow. Not that, when I moved to town anyway, tomatoes were rare. Now they're pretty common. This is looking forward. And the dates, this is by 2100, this is 1950 to 2015. The dates show that there's going to be, if the predictions are true, there's going to be a lot of problems here in Duluth by 2100. But of course, the problems are multifold. We get the tomatoes, but we don't get as much skiing. And I'm sure there are maybe as many skiers, probably more than gardeners here, who know that very well. This came out funny. Air temperatures tell only part of the story. And this is what Ayanna Johnson has gotten into, because the ocean has absorbed over 90% of the heat. That blew my mind. We created that much more heat and the ocean just took it right in. And we've changed the acidity and the temperature of the entire ocean. Imagine, that's a huge influence. In Lake Superior, we are one of the fastest warming, largest lakes. And you know that because the ice cover has decreased dramatically. And this is a great animation. It didn't come across animated in my slideshow here. But the thing that's happened locally, how many of you are aware that there are now algae blooms in Lake Superior? Never, oh, you're aware people, good. 2012 was the first time they recorded that, but now there was one on Barker's Island, and that's what this picture is from. And that is really, justice impacts. A quarter of the humanity, faces drought and famine. Over 3.5 billion people face climate migration. And they tell us that we're going to be a part of that one way or another. You've heard of the flames. In honor of Reverend Amy, I put Australia pictures here, not California, but Australia. And a year later, they had record floods. So it's a highly variable situation. That's Duluth. You know that we've had terrible storms. The storms are much worse than before. The one that just popped up is the co-op where I was working at that time. That morning I went to work having heard it rain all night long, and that was a record rainfall for us. It's already receded into the past for us, unfortunately. And we've had windstorms, a derecho. We have more waves. The lake walk has been replaced. If you're new to town, it's a major difference. Brighton Beach has been replaced. It affects us. We are not immune at all from what's going on. There was the lake walk. Environmental justice impacts. Was I going to save this, Beth?
No, briefly.
Let's see. Yeah. Well, we're driving 1 million species extinct. Climate change is definitely related to biodiversity. You're going to be drawing concept maps like this. The main reason I put this here was to encourage you to think big. Everything is affected by climate change. You can, and when you're visioning, consider everything and make it a wonderful vision, and we'll hope to be able to get it there. That's it for now. Thank you.
So that's pretty much the concerning news for this revival, though you'll see when you get your order of service that there's a kind of a complicated handout in there, and part of that is a list that Barb made, and thanks for her background in biology and ecology to do this, that has both problems and possibilities. And again, that's the format that Dr. Johnson always uses whenever she presents problems, she presents possibilities, because humankind is incredibly creative, and there's lots and lots of good things happening around the earth that we often don't see. The little sidelight, I have recently subscribed to a thing called Fix the News that comes out of Australia, all the Australia, where several younger people record all the good news from climate to health to women's rights, all sorts of things, and every couple of weeks you get all the things that you don't normally get in the news. So since part of what we're doing is reviving, I found this to be very reviving for me, called Fix the News. Newsletter, free newsletter, or you can pay and get more. Okay, so I just go forward here now, let's see. Okay, we are now getting into that fun activity part. You'll see there are markers and papers on your table. What we are going to do is make pictures. These are a couple of pictures they gave us from UUA of what individuals imagined a thriving community would look like. But what we want you to do on the individual papers, think a little bit about the elements that would be important and try to do some sketching, because this is UUA thinks is let's get away from our tendency to do lots and lots of words and do pictures, and if you need to stick one word in with your picture because you think maybe we couldn't understand it, that would be fine. We're going to start on people with the individuals. We have markers, so you can use pen, on that paper, and in about 5 minutes we're going to distribute big poster boards and have the table work together to put the images that you like the most as a table, and then they're going to be posted on that kiosk behind us. And there'll be kind of inspiration for, Meredith, this inspiration for the rest of the afternoon when we're looking at locally at our challenges and resources and what we want to do. So to start, and what I read in the script from them is, don't tell me you can't draw. You can do a stick figure. You can make a little tree. These individual, this is from Dr. Sophia Betancourt, plants, I don't even know, hearts. Here, this is from Rashid Sheikh, who was on that one, Dr. Rashid, who was another minister, his pictures of it. So this is, I guess what I want to say about, we're working from the seventh principle, and when we say respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, we mean human life and we mean all life on the planet, all forms of life. So this is climate, but it is justice, and we know that as there are many species that are more vulnerable to climate change, so there are lots of people who do not have the resources and are more vulnerable. So when we draw a thriving picture, it's a community of humans and community of the natural world. So just start sketching a little bit, and then we'll give you some big papers.
When we were in Spain, they had the Dana event there, and we learned that part of the reason the flooding was so catastrophic in Valencia area is because there are climate deniers in the politics there, and so certain things with their sewage system were not completed because of this faction that refused to approve these things, so they just didn't do it. And that, I don't know all the details, but that was part of why they suffered such a disaster. So anyway, beauty, mountains, birds, clean sky, sunshine. Dick did the DNA here and pointing to us, this little one part of the thing, and that we're really not as important as we think we are, that we're all in this together with all the other parts of our earth, the trees, the plants, the water, the animals, and everything else, and that we're just part of that whole thing, but that doesn't, we're not any better than anything else in that chain. Here we have everybody together, a sense of joy about it, that we can breathe clean air and eat fresh food, and a similar, I think, concept, and people being happy because they can live and breathe freely, and also, again, the sense of that this is something that we should all be in together, I think, and I wish we could get there. Okay, and then Carol's is just the environment.
Thanks, we're going to turn this, and then see who can come up, but let's try to be quick, because I know we want to have a couple minutes before service. We have a starting. 1 minute. Well, this is honoring all people. They're different. They're our ancestors and our future, all ages, all colors, honoring all of the people. This one is honoring the wind power, solar power.
Get a little closer to your mouth.
Okay, wind power, solar power, and people in the future. This one again is looking at lightweight, eco-sensitive housing, building up using the solar and wind power, and protecting and using the water, the trees and the lakes. This one is honoring the balance of people and trees and land and fish and gardens and the air, and watching the thermometer. This one again is looking at the air and the ground and the water and the life that is in all levels of that, and people living in harmony with that. That's a quick summary. I may have missed stuff.
Someone from the table, Matt, talk about this one? Someone from the table. Someone give us some, Kathy, Naomi, somebody give us some minute for summary? And if you have more, there's room on the bottom, we'll put the rest of them on the second level.
You're the helper.
Here, come on.
Right behind you.
Oh, do you want to talk about it? You go ahead and talk about it.
That's supposed to now.
This one looks like
Yes.
More animals, yay.
I can talk.
nature.
Okay, I'm gonna let Naomi finish. Thank you very much.
You did get a lot of the main points there. I will add that some of this is about working as a community in conjunction with nature, so building in such a way that there's room for green space and animals, and also non-car means of transportation. Community in terms of we as humans cause the problems, and we need to band together to solve the problem, sort of like a patchwork quilt of all sorts of different ideas coming together. Some of this will need windmills and solar panels and electric cars and other kinds of alternative energy sources so that we can stop contributing to the problem and start making solutions for it.
Yes, ma'am. I have one little addition. This is David Day, who is Scott's dog. I adopted David Day as our mascot because it means enough in Ojibwe, so everyone has enough.
All right. Now we need someone from another table, and I know the table Morgan's already, you just run yours up. If somebody wants to speak to that, and then there's another fourth one, and I kind of lost.
On that one right
Is it this one here that's new? Or this one? Okay. You know who did this one, this table? Is it right here? Okay. Kelly, you have to decide. Okay, John's going to say a few words.
Woo, woo, woo.
Our table was really focused on living on planet Earth and honoring our mother. So we have a person in green, lush grass and the beautiful earth, fishing, enjoying being alive on our planet. We have our planet. We have our bugs. We want our bugs and our little insects and our small friends in the world. We have our whales. This one was interesting. This is a teacher teaching younger children to find that we're able to live and continue our society way into the future by talking to each other. And this is part point. We have the wind and the waves and the necessity to protect our Lake Superior, to protect our local environment from disruption. And again, the little creatures, the deer and the baby deer that are so important in Duluth. And that was that.
Well done.
I'm not part of the program.
But you were. Well done.
I can't hold it up so you can see it. But I'll tell you all about it real quick. We imagine living spaces above stores, thinking that in the future that's going to be, we have to live more compactly. It's not sustainable to have individual houses, and I'll be gone then, and that's fine with me. With green space, playgrounds, accessible place for food scraps, recycling trash. These are community gardens.
Nice.
Community garden space. This says
Sun.
solar heat, right? This is a big hill, right? Down here is a big hill, and you can ride your bike down it, and then there's some kind of a pulley thing to take you back up the hill.
Woo!
That was Sally's idea.
Love it.
We want a lot of space for natural space for animals. So this is a forest. So there's deer in there and bear, and they live nearby. And there's a hiking trail you can go through there. There's a duck pond, trees. I didn't have enough time to do all that stuff. Lots of transportation by bus. Here you can pick up a bike to ride, bicycle riding, and separate bicycle riding from walking so you don't get run over. Here's a clean river. Somebody's trying to fish. The fish look kind of small. And over here, my favorite is a dog park. That's my dog's favorite. Down here is another park that didn't get defined. So a lot of green space, a lot of space for our folks we share our world with.
Well done.
This stuff is hanging up. It's going to be up for a while, so as people weren't here this morning, we can add their
Nice.
to it. We're going to hold this and I'll put it on the floor.
It's kind of falling apart. Let me just fix it real quick. Okay, folks, we're going to do an interactive riff here. So, a couple of us were thinking a lot about collective housing, gardening, and shared space, kitchens, paths that are parking that's peripheral.
I think
Parking that's
it turned
peripheral.
off. It's not
You turn it off?
Yeah.
Okay, communal living models, maybe based on the co-housing, but more advanced perhaps, but shared living community where everyone doesn't have to own the same things. So a couple of us were thinking about that. Parking to the periphery, lots of walking paths and gardens. And then, honestly, I'm not even sure. Bev, a few words.
I sat at the right table because I hear the word cooperative. So I have a cooperative bakery, but what it is are businesses that are owned cooperative. And then there's a clinic. We need healthcare for all. And there's a daycare. So it's just the idea of more taking care of people. Families and.
Okay.
What few words for us? Race for nature. Ayana Johnson talks a lot about that in her book, and I was delighted to see it. So we are a part of nature, not dominion over it. And
Love it. Anybody else that want to say a couple words just real fast? I know we're
Well, it shows fresh water and a natural world of animals, birds, transportation, and sail.
And then Lorraine's was nature, our master gardener. Anybody else?
Lots of green, so lots of green space, and the people that are there are together.
Addition, and then we have one beautiful new one. So, I'm gonna say for addition in front of me.
Hi, I didn't get my picture made as well as I should to communicate with you. I have all these stick people. So I started with the red ones, you know, the red man, in the Indian community. But they're all interconnected. They're all holding hands. The dotted lines, the holding hands. Then I did the blue eyes too, so they're blue. Then up here, they're really my children. These are made with both blue and yellow or any two mixture. But the notion that the future of this planet is not us white guys and those dark guys. It's us. It's us, us, us. And so we've got the lines coming down from the mix, and we've got them going up. People working together, seeing each other as people.
Beautiful.
Then we can win.
Hi, I'm Wes. So our group came up with a lot, kind of. We had this web to interconnect everything. And we have, of course, our planet with all different types of people holding hands, because the whole thing is we want to be supportive of each other and each experience. Burham drew, so Emily drew this, and then Burham drew a community garden that seems to be very popular in every single theme.
Site 78 out of 300.
Yeah, that's great. So I love having this community garden here. It's great for everyone to have the green space, and I love that in community gardens there's usually free grab areas for anybody who's experiencing homelessness or maybe in a harder time who can't dedicate the time to garden. They still can have some fresh food, and that's really nice. I drew this big green space at the bottom. It's just representing like nature interacting with it. I drew all these little blue swirls for the fresh air and just, you know, a bear and seeing kind of nature reclaim itself. I saw this in another one, I forget which one, but it had a bunch of bushes and everything at the bottom. We need that in order for erosion to not happen with those water spaces, we need that plant life. And of course, we kind of tuck it in last, housing. Amy drew the big web, so we incorporated it in here, and just, we should all live in harmony, and that's really hard to define because each space is so different, but it's something to consider.
Woo, 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 woo. Never to worry with us, because this is wonderful and really great. And this is step one. So we're going to the service, in the service, there's some music that's required to perform, wonderful music, and it's made in relation to.
Or maybe you're not speaking.
To the part of the Bible, and there will be somebody here. But please come back afterwards. We have soup and bread and cookies and leftovers. So we'd love to see you back. In the meantime, if you. Okay. The activities at the table are going to require a large poster board in the middle. So when you can clear your dishes, please do that. When I put the poster board on the table, if someone will draw a line, horizontal line down the middle, we are going to diagram at the top challenging realities, and underneath it, we're going to diagram care, resources, connections, the ways we respond to those challenges. And these challenges are going to be in our city, our region, our state. We're not looking at this point at the whole globe, so we know that those challenges are there. We are talking about the region in which we can act as a congregation or connect to act as a congregation. So I'm going to look at a couple slides here. I'm going to put this one here. And maybe somebody, maybe Brett, could you put a big
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
Uh-oh, back. Oh, okay, all right. Let me go back a minute. Okay. You see that little circle on that says challenging realities. Remember, first of all, draw a horizontal line down the middle, because we're working on the top half first, and then we'll work on the bottom half. So first the horizontal line down the middle. Okay. All right. That's fine. You probably want to do it. And preferably the horizontal line is where the paper is vertical, because it will be easier that way. But if not, that's fine. Turn it portrait, vertical, and a line down the middle that divides it in half. Yeah. You can work it the other way, I think. It'll work, but just easier this way. So when you have done that, in the middle of the top half, can you put in a little circle called challenges or challenging realities? Okay, in the middle of the circle, and what we are going to do is together brainstorm and put down all the challenges we see in our city, in our region, in our state. So that goes in the middle, and then this is basically a brainstorming activity. So what we want is a short challenge in the space. I'm going to show you two things here now. Okay. This is some of the challenge that Barb Acri outlined this morning, looking at vulnerable populations within our city. And the sensitivities we see in Duluth. So if any of these register with you, I'll come back to them. Then what you'll do is make a diagram that looks like this, where you may or may not connect them, but the first thing is to put around in circles all the things we see as challenges. And I'm going to go back because maybe Barb's slide will give you some ideas to start with. It will take about 10 minutes to come up with challenges. And you can just, you have markers at the table, so if you put the circle in, then just for challenges on one half, then you can start putting in where you see the challenges are. And we have some people who are helping at the tables to encourage you by all the challenges we see that relate to social justice impacts of climate change and other natural impacts of climate change.
Would you like me to turn on the lights for this part?
Are they on? They're on. We have really low lights.
Some of them must be on. Do you want me to get the window? Oh, interesting, yeah.
Okay, yeah, well, we can put some.
Yeah, we can go over there. Yeah, I'm gonna help the online people, but. All right, so for us on Vine, Laverne, you can just put anything that you're seeing as challenging realities here in the chat, and I'll create one still for our online attendees. So feel free to name anything that you need, and we'll add it here too. Sounds good?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being here. You're our sole representative online.
How about that?
Woo!
We are talking about climate challenges to the natural world, but also looking at implications for particularly for populations that are more at risk. I would say in Duluth, for an example, the fact that most of our housing stock is over 80 years old, that it causes energy challenges for a lot of people. Can you, that's one example. Water, lead pipes, air issues where we have smoke from the Canadian wildfires. These are issues that may affect people as well as species.
Very good. We got Laverne sharing here too, so I'll do one just for our online side.
Oh, great. Okay. Do the next slide.
Yeah.
She was in there, so I didn't.
Yep, no, you're great.
Okay, good.
This one?
Okay, yeah.
And you're doing great. Feel free to keep putting stuff here in the chat if that's helpful, Laverne. I'm just making a diagram for us online.
Yeah, that's a good diagram.
Thank you. This. Good. Everyone looks happy. Yeah.
Just trying to figure out the time.
Anything else online that people would like to add?
I cannot see like the farther right side of the diagram.
We're gonna make that. Oh, you mean all of this stuff?
Yes.
Yes. Well, we're gonna make a second half of the chart in a bit for all the solutions, but I think what this is trying to kind of highlight is directionality from, what one thing leads to another. But you're saying that how can we kind of do that with the things you've shared about disabled or older adults too, Laverne?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's think about it. I mean, I think that clearly from what you've shared, we can think about like a disability status can lead to economic insecurity. I mean, kind of making that arrow go that way, and then economic stress can lead to food insecurity or lack of access.
I have transportation issues.
Oh, transportation, perfect, yes, yep. Yeah, put anything else in the chat. I'm having just a little hard time hearing you given how loud the room is, Laverne, but I want to capture anything that you have.
Thank you, Brett.
Oh, you're so great. Thank you.
Okay. I would say a couple of the things that we've got on ours is we were talking about the fact that they're talking about Duluth as a future climate refuge, and which affects problems like affordable housing, affordable childcare, the strength of the environment overall, the clean water, all of those kinds of things. And so we were seeing a lot of potential effects of people coming into this area because we have one of this, because we've got resources, we've got this beautiful lake. And so it's one of the most beautiful things, one of the most valuable things that we've got, but it also could be one of our biggest challenges.
I think, yeah, I don't know if you could hear them all, but I think you all have them, a lot of them on your charts. And you can add other people's if you want to work with them. So the next slide. Okay. Resources, connections for community care. Where do we start? This example, they did like, what could we do within our building or congregation? But I'll show you the bigger one. Anything we see, not just in our building, like solar, for example, if we get battery backup, we would be able to at least charge people's phones and maybe provide a little safety in the building if we hit for power outages. But they have interfaith partnerships. We know that we have partnerships that can help us. And this is a place where we would list those too. Oh, let's see. Oh, it's going back. How do I?
Do you want to go back?
Oh, no, this is it. Okay,
Okay.
I guess.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm going to put these down. These are some of the good things in Duluth that we have seen that might start you thinking about what some of our resources are in town. On the back of the insert for the program, there were a lot of organizations that we might connect to, and some already are connected to some resources, but we have our building, other ways of thinking, but I'm going to think, oh, okay. Let's see. I'm looking at these slides. Okay. This again shows that within our city municipality, we have been able to lower our greenhouse gas footprint. So there are good things happening here, but we need to continue them. I'm going to just keep going here. We have a lot of information, but this is the kind of slide, again, that we are looking at. What can we do? Where do we find the resources and the connections to act? And hopefully from these diagrams, and we are keeping all of them, we will take a look at them and see what we can find to connect. So we're going to take about 10-15 minutes to put together connections, resources, and ways we can care. We are going to start sharing a couple of solutions from each table in 2 minutes. So I'm glad to see the solution part is getting as full as the challenge part, because that is what we want. When we share our solutions, we're going to start with a couple of people that Brett is working with who are joining us on Zoom. And we'll get their input, then we'll move to our tables.
There you go, Laverne. You want to start? All right, I think we'll jump right in then. And I'm glad that we can, speaking of this access, have people available online as well as here in person. Can you guys hear me over there back too if we pass around? Awesome. All right, so for community care online, our team came up with emergency shelters, especially for heating systems if anyone's experiencing housing instability or a furnace that goes out, so emergency shelters for heating. And then we also mentioned help snow shoveling, especially this time of year, especially for seniors, people with challenges shoveling, you name it. Those are two of the things we mentioned.
Okay, so we were looking at a lot of different things, and so kind of focusing in on utilities, if we can have, well, it's actually all interconnected between government, business, and our faith communities, if there's a way that we can improve the efficiency of devices that consume energy, while at the same time cleaning up in this case, I work for MP, so we clean up our dirty grid and, that makes a difference.
Woo-woo. So clean energy for lots more people on a cleaner grid. Thank you.
Learn from our UUCD gardeners and raise our youth by allowing them to work and care for our environment would be a service learning approach.
Lots of ideas.
Most of ours centered around working together and making connections. One example was supporting community centers, which for example support song circles, arts, cooking, open to anyone in the community. Another idea was volunteering at a variety of service-based groups within the community and visibly to the community to be an example of how we can engage with each other.
Love it.
How we would educate our children and would have health care for everyone, right relations and collective liberation, in other words, love.
Nice summary.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, 3 things. We have a lot. Okay. Okay, so for our community care, depending on where you live, DEI programming, either keeping it, maintaining it, or putting it back in place, improving it, which ties directly into additional job training, and all of that should be covered through free education.
Woo, woo. Okay, solutions we can work toward. Who's speaking here?
All right, I can do it again. A lot of our conversation focused on issues of food and everything from the packaging that the food comes in and the recycling of the packaging and the healthiness of the food and availability to people of all income levels of healthy food, the waste of food. So that was kind of our, I would say, the central theme of a lot of our things, the need for more community gardens and how do we change our food systems so that we don't have to be necessarily shipping everything using oil for many, many miles across the globe.
Thank you.
We need to work at trying to recover our tree cover in the cities because trees are really, really important for keeping the temperature down and water preservation, stuff like that. We're now being hit by the emerald ash borer. We're losing a lot of boulevard trees, a lot of big trees in people's yards. We need to set some kind of program for replacement.
Yeah.
But isn't this, aren't we reading lists of resources at this point? Because we listed faith communities working together, nonprofit organizations, parks and trails and green space that we have. What else? I think those are some of the key resources that we noted. Right, because the work that we want to do, or we see some of it we can do internally, much of it has to be done in connection.
Talked about increasing funding to improve public transit in the area and as a resource tapping into the local institutions of higher education.
Did I miss a table? No. Okay. Lots of potential solutions. As I say, we will keep these charts and we'll probably, I think some techie person is going to make a big PDF about all our charts.
Yeah.
What I'm planning to do is to take about 5, but no more, to run over and get a cookie if you want, or 2,
a napkin and stretch up and down, and then we're going to get to the last main activity. So if you'd like a break, we got lots of cookies left here. We're going to go on and do the next thing. Thanks to everybody for your input on both challenges and opportunities and resources. We have all the diagrams, we have all the visions. The part we are doing now relates more to who you are and what you would like to do to connect, because we all know there are multiple challenges and multiple ways to act, but each of us cannot act in all those ways. And in fact, if we try to act in too many ways, we just lose our own energy and focus. And as the UUA group says, we are doing this with love at the center, and that means also joy in your own life. For example, for myself, I really wanted to see solar on our building as an example for the community and a way to lower our use of fossil fuels. So I spent a lot of time on that from 2016 on until the other week when we finally got our rebate. Woo! But honestly, I mean, I had a commitment to getting that, which took a whole lot of paperwork for the IRS and a lot of bumps, but it came through. But I wouldn't say that that was my act of love and joy, except we got it. I got, the reward of joy after work. But when I work with our outdoor team, or I just took a master naturalist class, these things give me a level of personal joy that sustains me. So when we are thinking about climate action, we have to think about both what needs to be done and what we can sustain ourselves doing and what brings us joy. So if Hella does song circles about the earth and the climate all over, and that's joyful for her, that brings joy to a lot of us too. So it's what the world needs, but it's what we can sustain. Now, our goal is that you won't be doing this alone. What we want when you finish, if you're willing, is to put your name on it, and Meredith, at least, is going to run around and take pictures of these so that we can have an idea where individuals are. But we are also going to put little sticky notes under those 6 categories that were on the insert. These are Dr. Anna Johnson's categories. She does interviews with wonderful, creative, resourceful people in each area in her book. And when you look at your areas that you want to work in, you can take 1 or 2 sticky notes and just stick them under there, and what that provides us is a quick visual count of where people would like to act. So we might see lots of people on replenish and regreen, for example, nature and farming. But we might see people, or not so many, who want to follow the money, which has to do with divestment, but also looking at other policies and economy. I mean, I'm not trying to prejudice you, but we're going to take a look at that afterwards. So what we want to do is take time, and you can do this by dictating to someone, talking to someone next to you, or just doing it yourself in your writing. There's a space to write in your climate action stuff. Yeah, he put it up there. And there's also, for you to figure out where that middle spot is for you. So we're just going to take some time, and as I say, if you find trouble doing this, grab someone next to you and talk to them and let that person record for you.